someone mentions meteorology, what's the first job that comes to your mind? My guess is probably the broadcast meteorologist. Now, those in broadcast are typically noted as the face of the company because oftentimes, like you just did, you go directly to your first local TV meteorologist and think of them as your job. Now, because they are so well known, popularity also comes with scrutiny, and in this case, a lot of it. The concept of broadcast meteorologist is often misunderstood, which leads to a lot of misconceptions. But by the end of this presentation, you will understand what a broadcast meteorologist is and what their job entitles, the education required to have the job, how we create a forecast, examples of this distrust and miscommunication, and how we can all do better on this situation. Now, what is a TV broadcast meteorologist, and what does their job include? Well, as defined by D. McKay, they are someone who uses their weather background to study the conditions and forecasts and then deliver that information to the public. And then to explain the job description using a culmination of descriptions found on Indeed.com, we may do some of the following tasks. Work with the weather team to provide accurate forecasts and coverage, break in for severe weather, develop on-air graphics, and possibly make public appearances. In meteorology, there are three sort of different levels in the job descriptions that you can do. So with each different level comes different, backgrounds in schools, and different universities offer different classes, which then prepares you for a different level. So for example, the 4-year meteorology degree from Ball State gives you a different background compared to the 4-year atmospheric science degree from Purdue. Now, in the spectrum of broadcast meteorology, if you graduate from Ball State University, your degree allows you to go on as a standard broadcast meteorologist, which means you're going to see them as, for example, the weekend or late night, the odd kind of shifts. They're kind of more at the bottom. And then we move on to universities like Valparaiso University here in Indiana, and they're like the middleman. They can go up to chief meteorologist, which is a higher paid position. They're the ones that are kind of in charge of that weather team at a station. And the reason that it jumps is just based off of, the class curriculum that you've experienced at Valpo versus Ball State. And then once you make that jump up to Purdue, our class requirements allow us to do just about anything in the meteorology field. We can go on to work for the National Weather Service, which is the government side of meteorology. And the reason that only Purdue can do that is because of the courses that we took. They require certain classes for you to even be considered at the National Weather Service. Now, personally, just a few examples of classes I've taken so that you can get an understanding. There's 3 semesters of calculus, differential equations, 2 semesters of calculus-based physics, 2 semesters of gen chem, and then I've also taken atmospheric dynamics, atmospheric thermodynamics. This coming semester I'll be in mesoscale meteorology. Those are just a very few examples of the classes that I have taken. Now, in broadcast, there is a specific seal that some people will receive through the American Meteorological Society. And in order to get that seal, you also have to have and meet the list of class requirements. And you also submit examples of your forecast that you give, on the green screen. And you also take a multiple choice test. So, as I mentioned before, there are the different degrees. Each one will get you a different pay status, and then the different degrees get you the different job. Now, obviously, the main part of our job is to come up with a daily forecast. We do this by using the infamous scientific method, and in order to come up with an accurate forecast, we use our education background, different weather models, and discussions to get the data. Once the forecast is created, we then create graphics and then ad-lib the presentation on air. As mentioned previously, broadcast meteorologists get the brunt of the blame and several unnecessary hate comments. We're held to a very high expectation and get ripped apart when the audience is not satisfied. So now that you see there is an apparent issue of, little extra scrutiny and criticism on us broadcast meteorologists, here is, some ideas on how we can fix this problem. So first is do the research to fully understand the job and what it includes. Having this understanding will take away your doubt in us, giving us more credibility that, we would hope that you would have in us. Next is keep your negative comments to yourself. I know sometimes we're all human, we all mess up, and you just want to get on Twitter and get right at us and say, you totally messed this up. Just help us out and just don't do that. I was taught as a young kid, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Next idea is find a meteorologist that you like and stick with them. Not only will you start to trust us, but then we will start to trust you. When we have that continuous audience, that means we're doing something right because you're wanting to watch me instead of Joe Schmo on channel 55. Next, and finally, the biggest one of all, if you take nothing else away from this, just realize we will never, ever have a forecast 100% correct. Our job is to predict the unpredictable. So if we really miss the ball on a forecast, like we said, oh, it's gonna be perfectly sunny, and then all of a sudden, boom, we have rain all day. Just don't hate on us. Understand that our atmosphere is ever changing, meaning, our forecast could change right as soon as we step on to give our forecast. So at the end of the day, just give us a little more understanding. Learn what it takes to be a meteorologist, because again, not often do people really understand that. And then once you like us, stick with us. Meteorology is a tough position to begin with, but especially being a broadcaster. There's a lot more to our job than the eye meets. We're actually very skilled scientists here serving as a purpose to serve you with important information that impacts your daily life. Public is often very harsh on us, making it less than desirable to be a broadcast meteorologist. So, next time, just be less hypercritical because we're only trying to predict the future here.